Hi folks, and welcome to the Salty Seaman. Today we're going to do a little Q&A about yours truly. We're going to talk about my favorite subject, me! So this is going to be a little get to know your vlog, YouTube guy, whatever. Get to know me, for all the dozens and dozens of you, and I love you all truly, I really do, that watch my channel and my various things. This is a Q&A about first. This is ask questions out on Facebook and to various people. Anything you want to know about me and one of my first, could be anything, nothing off the table. Benign to the more personal. I'll answer it, best I can. I can't obviously give you full details on some stuff, but hey, that's life. But I strive to be as honest as possible. So first question comes off direct message. What was your first game console? First game console was the Atari 2600. Back then, just the VTR, the wood grain finish black box thing. I think I was 6. Got it for Christmas, along with a 13-inch black and white TV. Yes, a black and white TV. My very own TV in my room. Big deal in the early 80s. I got a bunch of games with it. Pac-Man, the really crappy Atari one. Bunch of others. Combat, I think everyone had Combat. Had a fishing game for it, which I'm not a fisherman type of at all. But this game, I just loved as a kid. I remember playing the fishing game all the time. It was a good game mechanic, I guess. I really loved playing it. Oh, let's see. First time you stabbed a man just to watch him suffer, from Alan. Let's see. First time, well, it wasn't a man. It was a woman. In fact, it was your mom. And, yeah, she suffered, and I did stab her. And by stab her, I mean with my penis. Mackie wants to know, what was your first concert? First concert was Pantera with Prong opening, 1994 in Memphis, Tennessee. Very good concert. My first ever. I had a blast. The great Pantera. What more can be said? Prong was pretty cool too. Marcus, what was your first BotCon? Don't know. BotCon is the Transformer convention. And Scott further says, what's your first con? Answered both of those. Same one. BotCon 2000, Fort Wayne, Indiana. My first ever jaunt out to a con. I've been to some comic book selling things before in malls and whatnot, but that doesn't really count. Yeah, it's where I met a lot of people I still consider some of my closest friends today. I first met a nucleus of people who becomes some of the closest people in my life. So, it was really cool. It was really small back then, 2000. It was right after Beast Wars, so it was getting some momentum back, but it wasn't quite the level it is now. Run by a couple of guys from the Midwest, John and Carl Hartman, and a guy named Glenn Hallett. It was fun. I spent a lot of time on the convention floor, which you do a lot in those days between panels. Nowadays, you kind of got everything. You might probably, dealer room is kind of low end because if you haven't got it by now, you're probably not going. It's either too expensive or something. So it's for Transformers, it was the Hasbro panels and seeing what's coming up next and all that fun stuff. And more what I remember is just hanging out with people I would later become really good. I'd really become really good friends with. So yeah, Fort Wayne, Indiana, 2000. Another Transformer question. What was your first Transformer toy? From David. David was the first Transformer. It was Huffer, the little orange Minicon semi-truck. Bought it with my own money. It was about $2 and something. A little bit on sale at Kmart. I even remember that. Yeah, you could scrape up enough change back in the day, even as a kid. You could buy your own Transformer toys. It was pretty sweet. Second one was Jetfire, so those were my only two toys. Really giant jet and this tiny little orange car. Kind of hard to play with them together, but you make do when you're 7 or 8 or whatever I was. First time. This thing apply my first time having sex. Would be with my first girlfriend. And I was about 15 in an apartment building under a set of stairs. That's about how much I'll get into that, but that was my first time. First time you really realized you fucked up. From Senate. It's hard to quantify that. I think I'd probably have to say friend was staying over at my house. I was about 10 years old, and we went out to the woods as we were off to do out in rural Georgia and just having fun. And I used to go to this little pond area. It was over a fence, so I knew it was someone's property. I didn't know who. I was 10. I didn't care anyway. There was always this old white pickup truck parked there. I thought it was abandoned because I never saw it move, and it looked dilapidated, and it was just always there. I never thought anything of it. My friend got the bright idea, let's go throw rocks at it. So I went to go throw rocks at it with him. And sure enough, we struck gold and we shattered the front windshield. And we went to go check out our damage and our score of how badly we messed up the truck. And we get close to it, we see a tool, like one of those tool metal boxes in the back with tools, and the inside looked like it was not abandoned. It was used somewhat regularly, at least. And then we heard noises like someone was coming. So the guy who owned it, who probably heard his truck windshield crash wherever his house was in relation to us, I have no idea. But we realized I realized really badly I had fucked up bad. Nothing happened for a couple days. Guys started calling around, people in the neighborhood who had kids. They asked me, and of course I said, no, I had nothing to do with it. Neighbor across the street kid, Brad, if you're watching this, Brad, hi, thanks. Ratted me out. He said, I was Gabe and Chip. Like, yeah, thanks, Dick. So, yeah, I paid a lot for that. So, realized I fucked up and I paid for it. Or my parents paid for the windshield, so yay. James asks, what was your first disappointment? I don't even know. Probably not getting something I really wanted for Christmas. And I'd really thought I was going to get. And it's kind of materialistic and, maybe kind of shallow vein, but it was. That would probably be my first real, and I can't remember the year it was or which toy it was, but I do remember that feeling of I'd really set my mind on something and I thought it was coming, and for whatever reason I didn't get it. So, in terms of real adult world stuff, I don't know. Didn't get promoted to E6 the first time I thought I would in the Navy. That was a pretty big one. I don't know. There's probably a few others, but that's the first one I remember. Back to a couple of more Transformer questions, and people being smartasses, because my Transformer friends are complete smartasses like myself, so I guess I probably deserve it. My first blaster, Robert wants to know what's my first blaster. It's a play on the current comic book. First blaster was G1 blaster. Got him in a trade for my cousin Scott. If you're watching, Scott, hi. For, I don't know, I think some G.I. Joes. So that was my first blaster. It was really cool. Even had the gun. Matt says first Prime, then Ultra Magnus. Quote from the first Transformers movie. First Prime, probably Optimus Primal. I didn't get a G1. No, I think I had G1. Actually, I got a G1 long after he was gone and I was an adult. I got a G1 Optimus Prime. Same thing, Ultra Magnus. I think they were both right when I was getting back in the fandom, and I had some spending cash and I was buying stuff off eBay. I ended up with an Ultra Magnus and an Optimus Prime, about 98, 99. So, haha. Truly answered your question, even though you're being a smartass, Matt. Suck it. Speaking of sucking it, Kevin wants to know what's my first wrestling event. First wrestling event was a local event in Georgia in a high school gymnasium. Some local Georgia group. Had a really great time. Just, nothing like being at wrestling and cheering and booing where you're supposed to, and just, getting into the show. Main thing I remember was their champion was Abraham Lincoln. And it was a tall, skinny guy with a beard who looked like Abraham Lincoln enough, and he wore the outfit. And I thought that was pretty hilarious. So that was my first wrestling event. Ann wants to know, what was my first date with my wife? First date was in Yokohama, walking around doing sightseeing. Somewhere in 1997, I think. June-ish. Andrew wants to know, what's the first time you noticed that adults were people too and not just lofty godlike figures of authority? Probably first year in the Navy, just because I really didn't feel quite like an adult yet. I was just 19. And suddenly just kind of look at everyone, even as people just a couple more years in than you, just they're all like true big adults, and I'm still just a little kid. You know, even though I was, you start living with them. You know, when you're on a ship, it's a closed environment, so there's people who are your bosses, and there's people who outrank you and are older than you, but you're kind of hanging around them because as long as they're not directly in charge of you, up to a point, you can kind of hang around a lot of different people, and just kind of realize they're all, they weren't any different than me. Like some of them were just as immature as I was, or worse, or were doing really stupid kiddie things. Especially get alcohol in them, and we go to all these foreign places, and these guys in their 30s and whatnot were just behaving like fools, and talking the same way I talk to my friends, and I kind of realized, like, these are just adults don't know everything, and we're all kind of in the same boat. Like, no one really knows what the fuck we're doing. So somewhere around there, probably 1996. Miriam asks, what's your first real regret? Probably getting out of the Navy, first time. Knowing what I know now, I would have stayed in and put in paperwork to do a cross rate to my current job. As it is, I didn't think that was very easy to do, and I just kind of made my mind up I was getting out. So it's what I did, and I came back in, and I got to the school, and all these dudes were coming into the school who would just drop paperwork to cross into the job, and I felt kind of foolish, because I lost rank. I had to make, I'd been an E4 for 4 years when I got out, and I went back as an E3 with 6 years in total. It took me a year to get E4 back, and then another year to finally put on E5. So, put me behind the 8 ball in a lot of ways. But, it's a regret, but, it is what it is. Life worked out the way it did. I wouldn't have met who I met and seen the things I have seen if I hadn't done that. So, I'm fine with it, Nicole asks, what's the first time you were in love, and did you know it? Probably go back to my, first real girlfriend when I was about 15. I guess you probably call it puppy love at this age in my experience. But at the time, that's what I thought it was. It's love, and, young love or whatever. First year of the first real girlfriend and getting those real hormones and chatting all the time and going through that whole rigmarole. That's, first love. I probably knew it pretty much right away. First couple of months talking to her. And finally, Jody wants to know, what was your first real defining moment of fatherhood? Probably just teaching him something when he was about 2. Just something, I wouldn't even say manly, but just something a father would teach a son. Just one of those minor things, or just trying to explain something to him, just when he's learning to talk and ask questions, and I could answer him and give him an answer only I could give, and however much he understood. But he always seemed to grasp it, and always made me feel good. Somewhere in there, just one of those real early being able to explain something about how the world works to your child. I think that's really felt like a dad, other than just a guy who occasionally changes diapers or puts a bottle in his mouth. I don't really consider that being a dad, other than obviously being a caretaker, but that's a real dad moment for me. Anyways, that's all the questions I got. I think that's a good little batch, a little good taste. My first Q&A. So if you liked it, hey, cool. You may know a little bit more about me. Keep looking at my videos, all things geek, Transformers, mixed martial arts, comic books, cartoons, whatever tickles my fancy. I got a lot of different things. Got some more things coming up. Been kind of on a break. Speaking of the kid, he's been sick. Been kind of sick. Just haven't been able to get on here and do my thing. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I will get back to you real soon, actually. Peace.